in every moment, we have a choice. And we, with one choice, can change our life completely.
And it's all within us?
It's all within. I mean, that's the thing. It's like it's built in. You know, people talk about sort of the divine GPS. You know, it's like you are created, whether you believe in God or not. Like there's one creator that has created all of us. Like we don't grow our fingernails, we don't grow our hair, we didn't grow this little body. Like we have all been created. Well, built into that creation are these laws that govern, that are based in spirit, that are based in the spiritual identity of each one of us. That you are a unique individual that was created by the Creator, that has a purpose built in, that has divine guidance built in, that has choice built in, that we at every moment can choose what we follow. Are we going to follow that fear-based thinking that I'm separate from some divine government, or, you know, fear, separation, anxiety, sin, sickness, disease, death? It kind of goes, it automatically goes to death. Or am I going to choose that path where I recognize that there is a power beyond my egoic sense of things that is governing, and I can trust that. I can yield to that. I can listen for that inspiration. I can, in every moment, choose to hear, what am I being guided to do? A lot of people call it intuition or gut instinct, or, you know, all of that is within us. All of that is within each and every one of us. And the very cool thing is, the voice that we hear that guides us is specific to us. It's kind of like the shepherd and the sheep. You know, I was just in Idaho at the trailing of the sheep, which is when they bring all the sheep from the upper pasture to the lower pasture, but they bring them down through the main road of town in Ketchum, Idaho, by Sun Valley. So there's like thousands of sheep walking down Main Street, which is really cool. But when you have many flocks of sheep in a field, they call them flocks. I don't know what they call them. Herds of sheep in the field, and there's several different shepherds. The sheep only listen to their own shepherd's voice.
Yes.
Like they hear their shepherd's voice.
Yes.
So we're the same. It's like the voice that we hear in our head, that is that guiding and governing voice of love and reason and conscience. It speaks in the language that we can understand. So no matter where we are, if we've made bazillion mistakes, or we're at that crossroads where we just don't know what to do, if we tune into that, you know, the Bible says the kingdom of heaven is within you. The kingdom of God is within you. If you're not biblical, think of it as the Creator's voice, the Creator that made you, cares about what you do with your life and where you go, and is constantly guiding. The basis of this is to understand that there are spiritual laws of the universe that govern, and that what we're used to following is what the 5 physical senses are telling us. And a lot of this comes up in leadership. Are we, what we say, in the drift? Are we looking at things outside of us and letting those determine who we are, who we show up to be, what the nature of our being state is? Do we let those externals drive us to react? Or are we acknowledging that if you look at it sort of in biblical terms, I and my Father are one. What does that mean though? One in nature. Am I the identity of who I am? Who am I being? Am I being my highest self? Or am I reacting to the stimulus outside of me and being a reactive self that isn't my highest self? And if I find myself reacting, what can I do? How do I flip that switch and then say, wait a second. One, it's recognizing that, as in leadership, we say, recognizing that the nerds are like in control, right? And I'm in the drift. Once you recognize you're in the drift, then what's your recourse? You have a choice in that moment. Do I recognize that I do have the choice to be totally responsible for who I'm showing up to be. And do I recognize that what's governing that state of being is beyond my human ability? It's beyond my human intellect. It's a part of me that's built into my heart. And when I go into my heart and I recognize that I am truly loved, and that I am truly loved just for who I am and who I was created to be, I can see that part of me. And when I can see who I am truly, I can choose to be who I am. And when I choose to be my highest self, then all the thoughts and the ideas and the guidance that I need is right there for me. If I'm distracted and I'm feeling like I'm reacting to what that false sense of ego, that false identity is driving me to, that's based in fear, it's based in lack, it's based in comparison, it's based in good and bad. Well, is the creator good and bad, or is the creation truly good? If you're biblically based and you go back to Genesis 1, God made man perfect. In the image and likeness of God created he them. Male and female created he them. And he saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. So if we really see that our identity is wholly good, and that's the basis of the spiritual laws of the universe, the law of God, the law of good. There are laws of good, just like the law of gravity. Whenever I doubt if the laws of God are still in operation, the law of good is still operating, I take a pen and I go, oh yeah, the laws are still operating. Well, yeah, that's the law of gravity, which is a human physical law. But what it's telling you is there are laws that are spiritual laws that are just as powerful, if not more powerful than, and constantly operating. So if you ever doubt spiritual laws still working, do a little test. Go, oh yeah, spiritual law is still working. Spiritual law still trumps physical law. What did Jesus do? He broke the law of birth, broke the law of death, broke the law of gravity, broke the laws of time and space, broke the laws of health, medical science, everything. He broke every physical, human, 5 physical sense law testimony, broke all of that, and proved that there's a law beyond that we can rely on, we can let our lives be governed by, we can tune into when we're ever in need. We can, and I'll tell you a little story. I was in college. It was 2 a.m. I was studying for finals. This is just sort of the law of good in operation, right? If you ever doubt that you're being governed, if you ever doubt that you can trust your intuition, studying for finals, 2 a.m, I'm done studying, I just want to go home and go to bed. So I leave the School of Government building. I think the janitor was there, like closing things up. I start walking towards my dorm, north end of campus. I get this intuition. Go to the infirmary. The infirmary is on the far south end of campus, about a 20-minute walk away. And I know, because I've been a student there for a couple years, they lock the door at 11 o'clock. And there's a little sign on the door that says, at past 11, ring buzzer. So I say to myself, I'm not feeling sick. I have no reason to go to the infirmary. I need to go home and go to bed, get rest for my finals tomorrow. Go to the infirmary. The voice is just insistent. Well, I'd made a deal with the divine, with God, when I was very young. And I said, if I ever get an intuition to go do something, I will always be obedient, because it always leads to good. So I've trusted this intuition my whole life. These are the law of good in operation, right? So I think, okay. So I walk across campus in the snow, arguing the whole way with the angel, saying, I'm not going to ring the buzzer. It's going to be locked. I'm not going to ring the buzzer. Anyway, long story short, I get to the door. I'm standing at the door. I'm looking at the little sign, door locked at 11, ring buzzer. And it's like I stand there and I just like, I'm not ringing the buzzer. So I hear another voice, try the doorknob. Okay, I try the doorknob. It's not locked. I'm getting chills. It's not locked. So I open the door and I go in. It's all dark. It's kind of quiet. And then I start to notice I hear like crying. And I follow the crying back through the halls of these dark halls of this infirmary. It's like a house. It's a small college. It's not like a big hospital. It's like a house. And I follow the sound of crying back, and I end up back at the kitchen, and there's a light on back there, and there's the nurse on the floor of the kitchen, and she looks up at me and she says, "How did you know to come? I've been praying that somebody would come in." I get tears when I think of this story. I was studying for finals. I got the memo. Like, who else was up? I don't know. I was up. I was available. I've always said, God used me. I got the memo. So when you hear stories like that, anyway, I was able to help her and stayed up and we prayed, and she actually had a really wonderful healing. I was able to go on and do finals and everything was fine. But when you have an experience like that, where listening to your intuition, trusting that there are laws in effect, there's something larger than us going on here, that's when you realize that calling that's been put in your heart, like, when have you gotten that intuition, right? And you've been doing your trek across the snow, across campus, where you felt like, I feel like this is the direction I need to go, but I'm not really sure. Like, this doesn't make sense humanly. It didn't make sense for me to go to the infirmary. I wasn't sick. It was late. I was tired. I had finals the next day. None of it made sense for me to go clear to the other side of campus. When in your life have you had that? Where you've had an intuition and you've just, something inside of you just says, go for it. And then all of the human reasoning, all of the stuff, all the external evidence talks you out of it and tells you, no, be practical. Go to bed, get some rest. Don't go to the infirmary. You're not sick. If I'd listened to my practical human wisdom in that moment, the intellect, I wouldn't have been there to help the nurse. I wouldn't have been there to help see a healing take place where the laws of good, the laws of God are governing everything. And we either are tuning into that and following it and acting on it, or we're tuning into human intellect, human reasoning, comparison, a sense of lack, limitation, and talking ourselves into that, into limitation. But it's our choice. Do we choose that path of, I'm being governed by something larger than me, something wholly good, or am I choosing a path of limitation that I've set up for myself, that false ego sets up, we buy into it as our identity, and we have the choice not to. So do you allow yourself to be governed by divine law, spiritual law, the law of good? At every moment in your life, there's possibility for that. Or do you allow yourself to be swayed by the drift, to put it in leadership terms, to be swayed by what the material evidence is telling you, and trying to limit who you were meant to be? Do you really see who you are so that you can go to the absolute heights of who you are? There's a little puzzle piece that's in the shape of you. No one else can fill that place. There's a place in the universe. No one like you has ever been created or will ever be created in the future. And there is an imprint on your soul, on your heart, kind of a blueprint for your life that says, this is the purpose that I have designed you to be, to fulfill this purpose. And when you tune into that place in yourself, everything is possible. You can reach the absolute height of who you were meant to be. So tune into that understanding that there is all good available to you. There is limitless abundance available to you. There is limitless inspiration and ideas and fulfillment of good available to you in every moment. So whenever you feel afraid or in doubt, or you feel like you just can't do it another day, tune into what your heart is saying. Tune into that place that is so much larger than our human doubts and fears. Tune into that place that is absolutely all good and abundant. And make a decision based in that, make a choice based in that, and take an action. And see where it goes, and trust. Take that step into the snow, across the campus, in faith, and go for it. And see what you can do. It's amazing what we've been given.
Thank you.